Testing, testing. Welcome, everybody. Or you know what? I'm gonna be doing something a little bit different today. I'm going to be reading, Thus Spoke Zarathustra, or Zarathustra, by Friedrich Nietzsche. I believe that's how you say it. It is a book for everyone and no one. Translated with an introduction by R.J. Hollingdale. Published by Penguin Books. I'm a little conflicted as to where I should start. I don't believe I need to, or maybe I do, need to read the chronology, introduction, and further reading. However, it seems like the actual story slash books part starts in part 1 of Zarathustra's prologue on page 39. As to not drag out the tale or the findings of Zarathustra, again, I'm not entirely sure, or for the first time rather, I'm not entirely sure what this book entails. I just purchased it one day, I never got around to reading it, so now I'm going to read it today. And I obviously purchased it for a reason, and hopefully I can see that reason as I continue to read. So let's go to page 39. Excuse me, give me one moment to grab a water bottle. Part 1. Zarathustra's Prologue. I'm going to say Zarathustra. I'm going to try to say Zarathustra. When Zarathustra was 30 years old, he left his home and the lake of his home and went into the mountains. Here he had an enjoyment of his spirit and his solitude, and he did not weary of it for 10 years. Okay, so we're going to go back a few pages and we're actually going to go to the chronology because they actually mentioned something about how this book is written, and already how I'm reading it. Oh, already from reading it, it is written fairly oddly, at least from what I'm used to. So let me read you what they say in the prologue. So in the first section of the prologue, they say, "The first thing a reader of Thus Spoke Zarathustra will notice, even before he/she notices what is being said, is a manner of saying it, or rather, the excess manner." So I don't know if this is an editor's note or a publisher's note or something, but already this is this is much more well punctuated, I'd say, than how it appears Nietzsche has written it in his story of Zarathustra. Um, and then he goes on to say, the book's worst fault is excess. Anyhow, let's get back to the story. Okay, so Zarathustra went into the mountains after leaving his home and the lake of his home when he was 30. And here he had the enjoyment of his spirit and his solitude, and more often than not, he did not weary of it for 10 years. But at last, his heart turned, and one morning he arose with the dawn, stepped before the sun, and spoke to it thus. So, one day he had a change of heart, and so he woke up and looked out to the sun and called out to it. And this is what he said. He said, "Great star, what would your happiness be if you had not those for whom you shine? What would your happiness be if you had no purpose?" That's how I'm interpreting it. "You have come up here to my cave for 10 years. You would have grown weary of your light and of this journey without me, my eagle and my serpent. But we waited for you every morning, took from your superfluity, and blessed you for it. Behold, I am weary of my wisdom." Oh, I need a better voice. "Behold, I am weary of my wisdom, like a bee that has gathered too much honey. I need hands outstretched to take it." Okay, yeah, this is so hard for me to read. I apologize. "I should like to give it away and distribute it, until the wise among men have again happy in their folly and the poor happy in their wealth. To that end, I must descend into the depths, as you do at evening when you go behind the sea and bring light to the underworld too, superabundant star. Like you, I must go down, as men, to whom I want to descend, call it. So bless me then, tranquil eye. So bless me then, tranquil eye, that can behold without envy even an excessive happiness. Bless the cup that wants to overflow, that the waters may flow golden from him and bear the reflection of your joy over all the world." I don't understand that metaphor. What is I'm gonna look that up. What is um the cup that wants to overflow? Here, I look it up on my phone. That's not mess with the image on stream. Cause I've heard that before. Cup runneth over. Someone look it up. Cup runneth over meaning. "My cup runneth over" is a quotation from the Hebrew Bible and means I have more than enough for my needs. I see. Bless the cup that wants to overflow, that the waters may flow golden from him and bear the reflection of your joy all over the world. Behold, this cup wants to be empty again, and Zarathustra wants to be man again. Thus began Zarathustra's downgoing. So it appears that Zarathustra here has found peace, but he's grown bored of this peace, or weary, as they say in the book. And when he says he wants to be man again, it seems that he believes he is higher than man, as he has no problems, no, what is that one word? No quokes, no quarrels. We'll say no quarrels. Problem, synonym. We'll say quarrels. No quarrels or quandam, something like that. And thus Zarathustra began going down. Okay. So that was the prologue. We're now moving on to Zarathustra's discourses, I believe, right? No, because the discourses don't start until 54, page 54. So, okay. Because there are numbers before certain paragraphs. So I thought these were the parts. But I think these are just the events broken down even further. Zarathustra went down the mountain alone, and no one met him. But when he entered the forest, an old man, who had left his holy hut to look for roots in the forest, suddenly stood before him. And the old man spoke to Zarathustra. "This wanderer is no stranger to me. He passed by here many years ago. He was called Zarathustra, but he has changed. Then you carried your ashes to the mountains. Will you today carry your fire into the valleys? Do you not fear an incendiary's punishment?" Yes, I recognize Zarathustra. His eyes are clear, and no disgust lurks about his mouth. Does he not go along like a dancer? How changed Zarathustra is. Zarathustra has become a child, an awakened one. What do you want now with the sleepers? You lived in solitude as in the sea, and the sea bore you. Ooh, the sea bore you. He got his ass. And I can't do an old man voice, so. Alas, alas, do you want to go ashore? Alas, do you want again to drag your body yourself? Zarathustra answered, I love mankind. Why? Said the saint. Did I go into the forest and the desert? Was it not because I loved mankind all too much? Now I love God. Mankind I do not love. Man is too imperfect a thing for me. Love of man would destroy me. Zarathustra answered, What did I say of love? I am bringing mankind a gift. I am bringing mankind a gift. Give them nothing, said the saint. Rather, take something off them and bear it with them. That will please them best, if only it be pleasing to you. And if you want to give them, and if you want to give to them, give no more than an alms, and let them beg for that. No, answered Zarathustra, I give no alms. I am not poor enough for that. The saint laughed at Zarathustra, and spoke thus. See to it that they accept your treasures. They are mistrustful of hermits, and do not believe that we come to give. Oh, this is deep. This is deep, man. Our steps ring too lonely through their streets. Meaning, awakened people are not accepted by society. Both Zarathustra and I believe the saint here, the old man, and now they're calling him the saint, are awakened. They are, I believe, they are in a higher state of enlightenment. Or at least this is my theory. Take it with a grain of salt. I believe they are in a higher state of enlightenment, or at least they perceive themselves to be, than the common villagers or citizens of whatever dwelling they came from. it also seems that, well, I believe it kind of literally seems that Zarathustra and the saint are the same yet different. If anything, I would guess that the saint is an older Zarathustra, one who has already uh, walked the path that Zarathustra is trying to walk currently, and he has discovered that the world is not ready for the kind of wisdom that he brings for them. He finds it much better to isolate himself from society, as his presence in there would bring about disruption and perhaps even chaos. So he finds it better for mankind to segregate himself, as you know, as he said before, give them nothing, rather take something off them and bear it with them. That will please them best. Excuse me. Maybe that's not the best example, but I did have another point I wanted to make. Uh, back to my point where about Zarathustra being, or rather the saint being an older Zarathustra, or at least a man who has walked the same path. They both love mankind, correct? However, Zarathustra has this idea that he has something to give to mankind, which is enlightenment. This is at least where I'm seeing this story going. And I believe that the saint has walked the path of enlightening the common villagers or the citizens, and they hated him because of that. The saint, they hated him. So, out of his love for mankind, he chose to isolate himself from. Again, I don't know if there's a better term for this, but I'm only going to say from. You know what? Let me say from society. The saint thought it better to. Um, well, I'm just repeating myself now. To isolate himself. And he's trying to portray, he's trying to convey this message to Zarathustra, but it seems that Zarathustra isn't receiving the message. Zarathustra believes that his knowledge of enlightenment is going to be a gift to mankind, and that they will all see his gifts as, or his enlightenment as a gift, right? But as my theory goes on, the saint has walked this path already, and he has learned that mankind does not want that so-called gift. So noting that, let's continue reading. Alright, so where we left off was Zarathustra. And let me Google real quick what an alm is. I believe an alm is a story, or some sort of story that teaches a lesson. Let me just alm definition. Alms are money, food, or other material goods donated to the living in poverty. I see. Okay, interesting. So Zarathustra wants to donate, or at least it seems what they're saying is he wants to donate. Oh no 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 no. Okay, okay. I'm a little confused as to what they're trying to say here. But let's just keep reading. The saint laughed at Zarathustra, and thus spoke. See to it that they accept your treasures. They are mistrustful of hermits, and do not believe that we come to give. Our steps ring too lonely through their streets, and when at night they hear in their beds a man going by long before the sun has risen, they probably ask themselves, where is that thief going? Do not go to men, but stay in the forest. Go rather to the animals. Why will you not be as I am? a bear among bears, a bird among birds. Ooh, so it seems like the saint might be the one learning a lesson from Zarathustra here, but let's keep reading. And what does the saint do in the forest? Asked Zarathustra. The saint answered, I make songs and sing them. And when I make songs, I laugh, I weep, and mutter. Thus I praise God. With singing, weeping, laughing, and muttering, I praise the God who is my God. But what do you bring us as a gift? When Zarathustra heard these words, he saluted the saint and said, What should I have to give you? But let me go quickly, that I may take nothing from you. And thus they parted from one another, the old man and Zarathustra laughing as two boys laugh. But when Zarathustra was alone, he spoke thus to his heart. Could it be possible? This old saint has not yet heard in his forest that God is dead. Dun dun dun. Ooh. Section 3. When Zarathustra arrived at the nearest of towns lying against the forest, he found in that very place many people assembled in the market square, for it had been announced that a tightrope walker would be appearing, and Zarathustra thus spoke to the people. That's weird. I'm going back to the could it be possible that the saint has not heard that God is dead? That's very interesting. I'm interested in where this is going to go, where the story is going to go. So the Zarathustra says, I teach you the Superman. I teach you the Superman. Man is something that should be overcome. What have you done to overcome him? All creatures hitherto have created something beyond themselves. And do you want to be ebb of this great tide and return to the animals rather than overcome man? What is the ape to men? A laughingstock or a painful embarrassment? And just so shall be man to the Superman, a laughingstock or painful embarrassment. You have made your way from worm to man, and much in you is still worm. Once you were apes, and even now man is more of an ape than any ape. But he who is the wisest among you, he is only a discord and hybrid of plant and of ghost. But do I bid you become ghosts or plants? Behold, I teach you the Superman. The Superman is the meaning of the earth. Let your will say, the Superman shall be the meaning of the earth. I entreat you, my brothers, remain true to the earth, and do not believe those who speak to you of superterrestrial hopes. They are poisoners, whether they know it or not. Very anti-spiritual so far. That's my note there. And he continues. They are despisers of life, atrophying and self-poisoned men, of whom the earth is aweary. So let them be gone. Once blasphemy against God was the greatest blasphemy. But God died, and thereupon these blasphemers died too. To blaspheme the earth is now the most dreadful offense, and to esteem the bowels of the inscrutable more highly than the meaning of the earth. Let me read that again. To blaspheme the earth is now the most dreadful offense, and to esteem the bowels of the inscrutable more highly than the meaning of the earth. Once the soul looked contemptuously upon the body. Once the soul looked contemptuously upon the body, and then this contempt was the supreme good. The soul wanted the body lean, monstrous, famished. So the soul thought to escape from the body and from the earth. Interesting. This may be a little idea as to why people commit suicide. The soul wants to escape the blasphemous body. Oh, this soul was itself lean, and interestingly enough, as anti-spiritual, or maybe it's not anti-spiritual. I was going to say as anti-spiritual as it seems to be, it seems to also not be anti-spiritual as he's speaking of the soul. But let's continue. Oh, this soul itself was lean, monstrous, and famished, and cruelty was the delight of this soul. But tell me, my brothers, what does your body say about your soul? Is your soul not poverty and dirt and a miserable ease? In truth, man is a polluted river. Man is a polluted river. One must be a sea. One must be a sea to receive a polluted river and not be defiled. Interesting. Behold, I teach you the Superman. He is the sea. In him your great contempt can go under. Interesting. So find not comfort in God, but comfort in yourself. What is the greatest thing you can experience? It is the hour of the great contempt. And contempt, I believe, is the opposite of commend, right? Contempt. You hold contempt for someone, you look down upon them. And let me just double check on that. Contempt. Definition. The feeling that a person or thing is beneath consideration. Yeah. Worthless or deserving scorn. Yeah. So exactly. Excuse me. Excuse me. I apologize. So the greatest thing you can experience is the hour of the great contempt. Zarathustra says. The hour in which even your happiness grows loathsome to you, and your reason and your virtue also. In which even your happiness grows loathsome of you. Wow. And your reason and your virtue also. Wow. That's very deep. The hour when you say, what good is my happiness? It is poverty and dirt and a miserable ease. But my happiness should justify existence itself. The hour when you say, what good is my reason? Does it long for knowledge as the lion for its food? It is poverty and dirt and a miserable ease. The hour when you say, what good is my virtue? It has not yet driven me mad. How tired I am of my good and my evil. It is all poverty and dirt and a miserable ease. Interesting. Okay, let's see where he's going with this. Oh, he continues. Wow. The hour when you say, what good is my justice? I do not see that I am fire and hot coals, but the just man is fire. But the just man is fire and hot coals. Do not see that I am fire and hot coals, but the just man is fire, hot coals. I'm not sure I quite understand that. Is he saying? My initial thought is justice black and my white or something like that. What good is my justice? I do not see that I am fire and hot coals. I do not see that I am fire and hot coals. But the just man is fire and hot coals. But the just man is fire and hot coals. Interesting. The hour when you say, "What good is my pity?" Is not pity the cross upon which he who loves man is nailed? But my pity is no crucifixion. Is not pity the cross upon which he who loves man is nailed? My pity is no crucifixion. Okay, so I'm starting to understand a little bit of what he's saying in this one, in this analogy here. Or would it be considered a metaphor? I don't think so. What good is my pity? Is not pity. So he's asking himself, or he tells himself, that pity is the cross upon which he who loves man is nailed. Let's dissect that. What is he who loves man? Pity is the cross. So pity is the cross upon which he who loves man is nailed. So pity is the cross in which Christ was nailed upon, right? I believe that's what he's saying here. But I think he's also subconsciously or consciously saying that anyone who loves man um will be crucified because of pity, right? Or he who loves man, I have no idea. That's a really tough one right there for me. Let's continue. But my pity is no crucifixion. Have you ever spoken thus? Have you ever cried thus? Ah, that I heard you crying thus. It is not your sin, but your moderation that cries to the heaven. Your very meanness in sinning cries to heaven. Where is the lightning to lick you with its tongue? Where is the madness with which you should be cleansed? Behold, I teach you Superman. He is the lightning. He is the madness. When Zarathustra had spoken thus, one of the people cried, "Now we have heard enough of this tightrope walker. Let us see him too." Ha ha ha. Damn! Fucking roasted. Roasted. And all the people laughed at Zarathustra. But the tightrope walker, who thought that the words applied to him, set to work. Interesting. Part 4. Or Section 4. But Zarathustra looked at the people and marveled. Then he spoke thus. So marvel. What does marvel mean? He looked at them in awe. Marvel definition. Be filled with wonder and astonishment. Yeah, basically. Man is a rope fastened between animal and superhuman. A rope over an abyss. Or Superman, excuse me. A rope over an abyss. A dangerous going across. A dangerous wayfaring. a dangerous looking back, a dangerous shuddering and staying still. So this is what man is. It's a dangerous going across, a dangerous wayfaring, a dangerous looking back, a dangerous shuddering and staying still. Or at least that's what I believe he's trying to say. What is great or he's trying to say man is the journey, basically. What is great in man is that he is a bridge and not a goal. What can be loved in man is that he is a going across and a down going. I love those who do not know how to live except their lives be a down going, for they are those who are going across. Interesting. I love those who do not know how to live except their lives be a down going. What is a down going? So there are uh, marked notations on some of the words here or phrases. Okay, so it tells me. So I just gotta go. So this was 2 in the intro, I believe. Hold on. I'm trying to find. I can't find it. Is it in Zarathustra's prologue? Would I have to go to the end of the book for it? So here the chronology, some notes, introduction. Let's go to the end of the book. Okay, yes, here are the notes. Okay. What is great in a man is that he is a bridge and not a goal. What can be loved in a man is that he is going across, that he is a going across and a down going. Alright, notes 2. Übergang und Untergang. Untergang. The antithesis über, over, and unter, under, is very frequently employed. It is not always possible to bring this out fully in translation. Oh. Man, they should have just, so is this translated from German? They should have just kept the Untergang and the Übergang and Untergang. Yeah, and it says in the note, it is not always possible to bring this out fully in translation. You should have just left should have just left the word there and then left the note to be like, all right, this is what it means. Cause yeah, I'm not really getting what the downgoing is. Over, under, Untergeben has three meanings: to descend or go down, to set, and to be destroyed or to go under. So the down going, man has to descend, man has to set, or man has to be destroyed and go under. There is much play upon this triple meaning throughout the book. The noun Untergang is treated in a similar way. Oh, Untergeben, I don't know what that, okay. Anyhow. That's a really bad translation there. Really bad. Anyhow. I love those who do not know how to live except their lives be a downgoing, for they are those who are going across. I love the great despisers, for they are the great venerators and arrows of longing for the other bank. Let me Google venerator real quick. Venerator. Definition of it: someone who regards with deep respect or reverence. Type of admirer. A person who admires. Gotcha. For they are the great admirers and arrows of longing for the other bank. I believe he's talking C bank here. I love those who do not first seek beyond the stars for reasons to go down and to be sacrifices, but who sacrifice themselves to the earth, that the earth may one day belong to the Superman. I love those who do not first seek beyond the stars for reasons to go down and to be sacrifices. Oh, okay. So people who be good, or I'm just gonna say be good for a higher purpose. He prefers people who do good for logical reasons. Seems like that's what he says here. Sacrifice themselves to the earth, to what's going on here on earth, rather than for some higher power. God is dead. Yes. I love him who lives for knowledge and who wants knowledge that one day the Superman may live. And thus he wills his own downfalls. I'm not really getting what he's going with this Superman thing. He's kind of losing me with the Superman thing. I love him who lives, because he hasn't really explained the Superman yet. He's just kind of idealizing it before he even goes into detail who the Superman is. And maybe I'm supposed to be picking it up on what a Superman is based on these past few sentences, but it's not very clear to me. I would like some help on that. I love him who works and invents that he may build a house for the Superman and prepare earth, animals, and plants for him. For thus he wills his own downfall. Okay, now I'm starting to kind of get what Superman is. The Superman is basically just a better you. That's what I'm getting from this. And it seems like some sort of theme to this book, or at least from what I've read so far, is one must suffer in order to succeed. Or something along those lines to that capacity. Excuse me. Just had to drink some water. I love him who loves his virtue. For virtue is will to downfall and an arrow of longing. I'm not sure what this arrow he's talking about is. The arrow, what kind of arrow he's talking about here. I don't know if he's talking about some kind of directional arrow or a literal bow and arrow kind of arrow. Either way, I'm not getting the I'm not getting the symbolism, or I'm not getting the message. Virtue is will to downfall and an arrow of longing. Virtue is an arrow of longing. Okay, let me try to think that through. Virtue is an arrow of longing. Man is a bridge. I'll get back to that. I love him who keeps back no drop of spirit for himself, but wants to be the spirit of his virtue entirely. Thus he steps as spirit over the bridge, one who practices what he preaches. Excuse me. I love him who makes a predilection or predilection. I love him who makes a predilection and a fate of his virtue. Thus, for his virtue's sake, he will live or not live. Interesting. That's very interesting there. Someone who's someone who's so how do you say, set in their ideals, virtues, that they will die by them or live by them. That's an interesting thought. Think about that. Sit on that. But I'm going to look up predilection right here and see what it means. Predilection definition. Predilection. A preference or special liking for something. A bias in favor of something. Okay. I love him who makes a bias or favor and a fate of his virtue. Okay, so he puts his virtue above all, and he will live or die by his virtue, principles, values, whatever you want to call it. Interesting. I love those people too. I love him too. Superman. I love him who does not want too many virtues. One virtue is more virtue than two, because it is more of a knot for fate to cling to. That's interesting. I do personally feel, or at least it's a thought to expand upon. If you have so many virtues, are you truly virtuistic? Is that the word? If every virtue is your virtue, how can you truly know you're virtuous? Hopefully I said everything right there. I love him whose soul is lavish. Oh, I love that word, lavish. Who neither wants nor returns thanks, for he always gives and will not preserve himself. Fuck yeah. Now that's a Superman right there. That's Superman. That's what he does. No need to thank me. I don't know. I've never seen Superman or read any comics. I've seen Man of Steel. That's pretty much it. And then Crypto the Wonder Dog. And that's pretty much it. And then I've played Injustice, but that's pretty much it. Let's look up lavish. I want to make sure I have the sumptuously rich, elaborate, or glorious. Yeah, I thought so. The lavish lifestyle. I love that. So his soul is lavish. It's rich. It's luxurious. And this man neither wants nor returns thanks. I'm not entirely sure what that has to do with the lavish soul. Maybe so he's saying a rich soul neither wants nor returns thanks, for he always gives and will not preserve himself. I'm not sure what preserves himself means. I'm guessing it means here in this context he won't put himself on a pedestal. Right? I love him who is ashamed when the dice fall in his favor, and who then asks, "Am I then a cheat?" For he wants to perish. I love this. I'm loving this guy so far. I have these exact virtues, dude. I love people like this too. I am someone like this, I feel bad, or do I actually? I actually need to sit on that. I would like to think that I feel bad when I succeed, or no, when the dice roll in my favor. Usually when someone gets the short end of the stick. I would like to think that I am. Maybe I'm still in the process of man, or in the process of becoming Superman. Let's keep reading. I love him who throws golden words in advance of his deeds, and always performs more than he promised, for he wills his own downfall. I love him who justifies the men of the future and redeems the men of the past, for he wants to perish by the men of the present. I love him who chastises his God, because he loves his God, for he must perish by the anger of his God. Ooh, I love that too. Ooh, that's such an interesting thought. Let me read that again. I love him who chastises his God because he loves his God, for he must perish by the anger of his God. I like that. I like that a lot. Um, I really want to highlight that too. I mean, it is my book. Here, I'll go ahead and highlight it. I'll hide it in. You know what? Let me just check. Let me just test and see if the highlighter is gonna seep through. So I'm gonna go streak on the page. The other side. Yeah, it kind of leaks through, so I'm not gonna highlight it. Anyhow. I love him whose soul is deep, even in its ability to be wounded, and whom even a little thing can destroy. Thus he is glad to go over the bridge. Interesting. I love him whose soul is deep, even in its ability to be wounded, and whom even a little thing can destroy. Thus he is glad to go over the bridge. Hey, what's up, Jibber Jabber? Nah, this isn't a school project. I was just super bored, and I'm starting to realize that video games are getting me very, very, very angry. But I did want to stream today, so I decided to do something different. Sorry to be so personal like that, but I do want to explain myself. In short, no, not a school project. I'm reading the book Thus Spoke Zarathustra by Friedrich Nietzsche, or Friedrich Nietzsche. He's a German philosopher, excuse me. And the entire story is built around this idea that God is dead, and man should be striving to become the Superman. And the Superman is basically, at least from what I can gather, the ultimate man. However, everyone can achieve the state of Superman if they are willing to go through the, how he dubs it, downgoing of life. Not the downgoing of being a man, basically. I know it's a little hard to follow. I'm still kind of trying to piece it together myself. But the basic idea is you must suffer for greatness, essentially. And once you suffer and become this greatness, you are now the Superman, or the Superman. That's the idea of this book. So we're reading the story of Zarathustra. Zarathustra is a man who isolated himself from the world up in a mountain for years and years. And on his 10th year, he grew wary of his loneliness, so he decided to go back into society. And he believes he's going to give society a gift with his enlightenment, or with his knowledge of enlightenment, and this idea of the Superman. So far, Very interesting. Give me 1 second. I like that emoji, by the way. What is it called? BC Warrior? It's a global emote. Let me do it myself. Oh, I have to look for it. Wow, there's a lot of global emotes we could use. That's pretty cool. Since we are reading a book about society, and we do live in one, here's the Joker emote. Anyhow, right now, Zarathustra is preaching to the people of the village what kind of man he loves. Not in a gay way, in a completely heterosexual bro way. Anyhow, I love him whose soul is so. I love him whose soul is overfull, so that he forgets himself and all things are in him. Thus, all things become his downfall. A man who puts others in front of himself, who puts others before himself, and thus making himself his own downfall. Or, as Nietzsche says, all things become his downfall, as this Superman, or this man, is worried and affected by all things around him. But he's a good man. I love him who is of a free spirit and a free heart. Thus his head is only the bowels of his heart, but his heart drives him to his downfall. I love all those who are like heavy drops falling singly. Is that a word? I love all those who are like heavy drops falling singly from the dark cloud that hangs over mankind. They prophesy the coming of the lightning, and as prophets they perish. He loves men who want to enlighten others, to bring others out of the darkness. At least that's what I'm getting. Behold, I am a prophet of this lightning, and a heavy drop from this cloud. But this lightning is called Superman. Section 5. When Zarathustra had spoken these words, he looked again at the people and fell silent. There they stand, he said to his heart. And there they laugh. They do not understand me. I am not the mouth for these ears. Must one first shatter their ears to teach them to hear with their eyes? Literally what living in society is like. Must one rumble like drums? Must one rumble like drums and Lenten preachers? Or do they believe only those who stammer? Stammer. What does stammer mean? Stammer. Stammer definition. Speak with sudden involuntary pauses and a tendency to repeat the initial letters of words. As a young man, interesting. Kind of like a stutter, I guess. They have something of which they are proud. What is it called that makes them proud? What is it called that makes them proud? They call it culture. It distinguishes them from the goat herds. Therefore, they dislike hearing the word contempt spoken to them. So I shall speak to their pride. So I shall speak to them of the most contemptible man, and that is The ultimate man. Interesting. Interesting. I'm liking this a lot. I'm really, really, really liking this a lot so far. And thus spoke Zarathustra to the people. It is time for man to fix his goal. It is time for man to plant the seed of his highest hope. His soil is still rich enough for it. But this soil will one day be poor and weak. No longer will a high tree be able to grow from it. And alas, the time is coming when man will no more shoot the arrow of his longing out over mankind, and the string of his bow will have forgotten how to twang. Interesting. I hope you're getting what what they're saying, jibber jabber. That sounded mean. I'm sorry. I just think I think too highly of myself sometimes. Anyhow, I tell you, one must have chaos in one. Oh, one must have chaos in one to give birth to a dancing star. Okay, wait, hold on. Let me reread that. I tell you, one must have chaos in one to give birth to a dancing star. I tell you, you still have chaos in you. Alas, the time is coming when man will give birth to no more stars. Alas, the time of the most contemptible man is coming. The man who can no longer despise himself. Behold, I show you the ultimate man. What is love? What is creation? What is longing? What is a star? Thus asks the ultimate man, and blinks. The earth has become small, and upon it hops the ultimate man, who makes everything small. His race is as inexterminable as the flea. The ultimate man lives longest. We have discovered happiness, says the ultimate man, and blink. They have left the places where living was hard, for one needs warmth. One still loves one's neighbor and rubs oneself against him, for one needs warmth. Sickness and mistrust count as sins with them. One should go about warily. He is a fool who still stumbles over stones or over men. A little poison now and then that produces pleasant dreams, and a lot of poison at last for a pleasant death. Interesting. I believe I'm the ultimate man. They still work, for work is entertainment. But they take care the entertainment does not exhaust them. Yeah, literally me. Hey man, fuck you, Nietzsche. You don't know what it's like to work fast food, bro. Fuck you. Fuck you. Nobody grows rich or poor anymore. Both are too much of a burden. Who still wants to rule? Who will obey? Both are too much of a burden. I mean, I don't know, man. Is the ultimate bad so mad? Is the ultimate man so bad? Well, I guess in asking that question, I have already become the ultimate man. Let's keep reading. No herdsman and one herd. Everyone wants the same thing. Everyone is the same. Whoever thinks otherwise goes voluntarily into the madhouse. We live in a society. Formerly all the world was mad, say the most acute of them, and blink. They are clever and know everything that has ever happened, so there is no end to their mockery. They still quarrel, but they soon make up. Otherwise, indigestion would result. They have their little pleasure for the day and their little pleasure for the night, but they respect health. We have discovered happiness, says the ultimate man, and blink. I don't know, Zarathustra. From what I'm hearing, the ultimate man doesn't sound too bad. But maybe that's the problem. Let's keep reading. And here ended Zarathustra's first discourse, which is also called the prologue. And there's notation 3 here. Or note 3 here. Let's see what it says in the book. Alright, note 3. Read. Discourse. Vorid. Prologue. The play on words is lost in translation. Wow, okay. Thank you. Yeah, I'm confused. Let me read that again. Read. Discourse. Vorid. Prologue. Oh, okay. And here ended Zarathustra's first read, also called Vorid. The Vorid. For at this point, the shouting and mirth of the crowd interrupted him. Let me Google what mirth means. M-I-R-T-H. Mirth. Definition. Amusement, especially as expressed in laughter. Okay. They're laughing at him. Give us this ultimate man, O Zarathustra, so they cried. Make us into this ultimate man. You can have the Superman. And all the people laughed and shouted. But Zarathustra grew sad and said into his heart, they do not understand me. I am not the mouth for these ears. Perhaps I lived too long in the mountains. I listened too much to the herds and the streams. Now I speak to them as goat herds. Unmoved is my soul, and bright as the mountains in the morning. But they think me cold, and a mocker with fearful jokes. And now they look at me and laugh. And laughing, they still hate me. There is ice in their laughter. Umpala, welcome to the stream. Thanks for dropping by, man. Fuck Nietzsche. You spelled his name wrong. But, I don't know. I'm liking the book so far. Part 6. Or Section 6. But then something happened that silenced every mouth and every fixed eye. And fixed every eye. Excuse me. In the meantime, of course, the tightrope walker had begun his work. He had emerged from a little door and was proceeding across the rope, which was stretched between 2 towers and thus hung over the people and the market square. Just as he had reached the middle of his course, the little door opened again, and a brightly dressed fellow, like a buffoon, sprang out and followed the former with rapid steps. Forward, lame foot, cried his fearsome voice. Forward, sluggard, intruder, pallid face, lest I tickle you with my heels. What are you doing here between towers? You belong in the tower. You should be locked up. You are blocking the way of a better man than you. And with each word he came nearer and nearer to him. But when he was only a single pace behind him, there occurred a dreadful thing that silenced every mouth and every fixed eye. He emitted a cry like a devil, and sprang over the man standing in his path. But the latter, when he saw his rival thus triumph, lost his head and the rope. He threw away his pole and fell faster even than that, like a vortex of legs and arms. Whoa. Whoa. He threw away his pole and fell, faster even than that, like a vortex of legs and arms. The market square and the people were like a sea in a storm. They flew apart in disorder, especially where the body would come crashing down. But Zarathustra remained still, and the body fell quite close to him, badly injured and broken, but not yet dead. After a while, consciousness returned to the shattered man, and he saw Zarathustra kneeling beside him. "What are you doing?" he asked at length. "I've known for a long time that the devil would trip me up. Now he's dragging me to hell. Are you trying to prevent him?" "On my honor, my friend," answered Zarathustra. "All you have spoken of does not exist. There is no devil, and there is no hell. Your soul will be dead even before your body. Therefore fear nothing anymore. Your soul will be dead even before your body. Therefore fear nothing anymore." The man looked up mistrustfully. "If you are speaking the truth," he said then, "I leave nothing when I leave life. I am not much more than an animal which has been taught to dance and blows. Oh, that's really interesting. So Zarathustra is being confronted with a man who put a lot of trust into his faith of God, heaven, or hell. And, he thought he was going to hell. But now he's reflecting on his life. If there's nothing in the afterlife, then he has left nothing in the current life. Let's see what Zarathustra has to say about this. "Not so," says Zarathustra. "You have made danger your calling. There's nothing in that to despise. Now you perish through your calling, so I will bury you with my own hands." Interesting. So he's like, be cool with it, man. You're chilling. I mean, you chose this life, and you're dying by this life. Don't be so sad. When Zarathustra had said this, the dying man replied no more, but he motioned with his hand, as if he sought Zarathustra's hand to thank him. Let's see, we still have quite a bit until we get to part 2. We have about 3 pages left. I think I can get through this. We'll finish this section, and we'll move on to the next. Or we'll finish this chapter, whatever you want to call it, and then we'll move on to the next. Section 7. In the meanwhile, evening had come, and the market square was hidden in darkness. Then the people dispersed, for even curiosity and terror grow tired. But Zarathustra sat on the ground beside the dead man, and was sunk in thought. Thus he forgot the time. But at length it became night, and a cold wind blew over the solitary figure. Then Zarathustra arose and said to his heart, "Truly, Zarathustra has had a handsome catch today. He caught no man, but he did catch a corpse. Uncanny is human existence, and still without meaning, a buffoon can be fatal to it. Uncanny is human existence, and still without meaning, a buffoon can be fatal to it. I want to teach men the meaning of their existence, which is the Superman, the lightning from the dark cloud man." Interesting. Night man, day man, fighter of the night man. So Zarathustra seems a little bit of a psycho. Um, because I'm not exactly sure why he's celebrating his catch of a corpse today. Was it because of a point he wanted to prove? Just in that I believe that is just a little bit of unnerving behavior. Let's read on. I want to teach men the meaning of their existence, which is the Superman, the lightning from the dark cloud man. But I am still distant from them, and my meaning does not speak to their minds. To men, I am still a cross between a fool and a corpse. Dark is the night. Dark are Zarathustra's ways. Come, cold and stiff companion. I am going to carry you to the place where I shall bury you with my own hands. Interesting. When Zarathustra had said this to his heart... Oh, section 8, excuse me. When Zarathustra had said this to his heart, he loaded the corpse onto his back and set forth. He had not gone 100 paces when a man crept up to him and whispered in his ear. And behold, it was the buffoon of the tower who spoke to him. Oh, so you're saying, okay, a buffoon can be fatal to it. So he's calling the man from the tower a buffoon, not the tightrope walker. Okay, I thought he was calling the tightrope walker the buffoon. The buffoon said to him, "Go away from this town, O Zarathustra. Too many here hate you. The good and the just hate you and call you their enemy and despiser. The faithful of the true faith hate you, and they call you a danger to the people. It was lucky for you that they laughed at you, and truly you spoke like a buffoon. It was lucky for you that you made company with the dead dog. By so abasing yourself, you have saved yourself for today. But leave this town, or tomorrow I shall jump over you, a living man over a dead one." And when he had said this, the man disappeared. Zarathustra, however, went on through the darkness. I'm going to look up abasing, see what that means. Abasing. Behave in a way that belittles or degrades, right? Someone. So he's saying you degraded yourself. You fucked yourself over, basically. By shaming himself, by degrading himself, he saved himself. Gotcha. So he thinks that he made himself a fool on purpose. Or he's just saying because he made himself a fool, the crowd. Or because he thinks... So Zarathustra wasn't trying to be a fool, right? However, everybody else thinks he was a fool. And so what the buffoon here is saying is, since you were acting like a fool, and again, Zarathustra doesn't think he was being a fool, he was genuinely preaching, but the buffoon thinks he is a fool. And so the buffoon is saying, by being a fool, you saved yourself. Congratulations. Be thankful. If you don't leave by tomorrow, I'm going to kill you. Or jump you. But Zarathustra continues. Zarathustra continues. Zarathustra. Why do I keep saying that? Zarathustra. At the town gate, the gravediggers accosted him. They shone their torch in his face, recognized Zarathustra, and greatly derided him. Man, what does derided mean? Derided. Express contempt for or ridicule. Okay, they ridiculed him. Zarathustra is carrying the dead dog away. Excellent that Zarathustra has become a gravedigger, for our hands are too clean for this roast. Does Zarathustra want to rob the devil of his morsel? Good luck then. A hearty appetite, But if the devil is a better thief than Zarathustra, he will steal them both. He will eat them both. Ha ha ha. And they laughed and put their heads together. Ha ha. I want a 1,500 word essay on this? Hell no. Maybe. Nah. Maybe. If I don't, I will be the ultimate man, the contemptible man. If I do make that essay, do that essay, I will be in the process of making myself the Superman. I might do a YouTube video on it. It is kind of an interesting um, idea to explore and to explain and pick apart. Anyhow, you better give me a good grade, Jibber Jabber, because I'm gonna write the best fucking essay ever. Anyway, Zarathustra said nothing and went his way. When he had walked for 2 hours past woods and swamps, he had heard too much hungry howling of wolves, and he grew hungry himself. So he stopped at a lonely house in which a light was burning. The worst grade I've ever gotten was probably, well, in anything is an F. I have gotten Fs before, you know. I'm not a superhuman. I'm not a Superman, you know. Um, but the worst grade I've gotten in a class is a D, and that was my advanced placement. Um, what do you call it? What's the class with limits? Calculus. But in advanced placement, a D is passing. So yeah. I'm gonna use the bathroom real quick. I'll be back. Stay tuned. We're gonna finish up soon. Alright, I'm back. We go by percentages here, don't use letters. Anything below 50% is a fail. How do you feel about that, Jibs? How do you feel about um that grading, I guess, system? I want to hear what you say before I continue reading. Please let us get in. Don't lock us away. We're not like what you're thinking. We've been all alone, stuck in our little zone. We're forced to play that song. I think it's a good, easy way to understand grades. Really? I don't think the letter method is that hard, honestly. And if you pass with a 50%, okay, well, you're talking about class, right? Do you do tests based on that system as well? Because look, my problem here with the 50% thing is the threshold. It's a low threshold that somebody can strive for. You're encouraging people, or at least you're telling people that it's okay to be half good at something. If you're half good at something, that's okay. You're good enough. No. I think you should strive for higher percentages. Well, you could strive for higher percentages, but if you don't, I don't know, man. To me, it's like if you fail at a 50 or 60%, so 50 to 60, 50 to 59% is F, 60 to 69% is D, 70 to 80, 70 to 79 is C, and so on. So if you make the threshold for failing higher, you're going to encourage your students to do better. You know, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Not subconsciously, not unconsciously, but without directly asking them to do better. You're encouraging them. To me, that's encouragement. But my overall point, not a big fan of the anything below 50 is a fail. Does that mean anything above 50 is a pass? I think that's a better question. And excuse me if I'm making a lot of assumptions here. I just thought it was an interesting concept to explore. All right, let's continue with the book. Let's not probe any further. Okay. So anything 50 and above is a pass. Okay. All right. Like I said, I stand by what I said. But anyways, Zarathustra found this house with a light inside, and he's become very hungry and tired as he has been carrying this body through the woods and through the swamps for so long. So he stops by the house and he says, "Hunger has waylaid me like a robber. My hunger has waylaid me in woods and swamps in the depth of night. My hunger has astonishing moods." Oh, he's talking to himself here. Excuse me. Let me start this dialogue over again. "Hunger has waylaid me," says Zarathustra, "like a robber. My hunger has waylaid me in woods and swamps and in the depth of nights. My hunger has astonishing moods. Often it comes to me only after meal times. Interesting. And today it did not come at all. Where has it been? Interesting. So the little idea that I think they're trying to poke at here is, I think it's something like, if you're doing, I'm trying to put it into words. I guess it's something like if you're working and distracted, I guess, then you won't get that you won't get that feeling of hunger. If you have meaning throughout your day, you won't get that feeling of hunger. And it may be literal hunger or maybe a hunger slash thirst for anything, TV. I don't know when this takes place, but I'm assuming it's a long time ago, around the Roman era. What did they play in Rome? I'm pretty sure this isn't set in Rome, but what did they play in Rome? Soccer? I don't think they played soccer, but soccer. Anyway. And with that, Zarathustra knocked on the door of the house, and an old man appeared. He carried a light and asked, I can't do an old man voice, and asked, who comes here to me and to my uneasy sleep? A living man and a dead, said Zarathustra. Give me food and drink. I forgot about them during the day. He who feeds the hungry refreshes his own soul. Thus speaks wisdom. The old man went away, but returned at once and offered Zarathustra bread and wine. This is a bad country for hungry people, he said. That is why I live here. Animals and men come here to me, the hermit. But bid your companion eat and drink. He is warier than you. Zarathustra answered, my companion is dead. I shall hardly be able to persuade him. That has nothing to do with me, said the old man, morosely. Whoever knocks at my door must take what I offer him. Eat and fare you well. Huh, interesting. So he gave him more food than he needed. I'm not really sure what that's supposed to say to us, but it is interesting. I'm going to have to go back to that. Interesting concept of God is dead. I think God is consciousness. So everyone and everything in the universe or a universe is God. That's interesting. I do think God is the collective conscious. Well, it's a theory I had while taking psychedelics in Minecraft. So while I was on them, I thought I was so in tune with everything. The universe, nature. I could feel other people's emotions. I can understand everything. And during that trip, I came to that exact idea that you were describing right now. And it's an interesting concept, and it's even explored in an anime called Code Geass. I'm gonna put the name in the chat. In which God is the collective mind of everyone, and everyone that has exist, will exist, and is existing now. Because what drives us? Other people, right? I would think so. Or at least I would hope so. I'm just gonna stop talking in that on that subject. I don't know enough just to speak well enough on that subject. Consciousness is not physical, exactly, or is it physical? Is consciousness not a series of electric pulses in our brain? Just a series of connections and connections and connections that just keep going on. Are we not a bunch of if and statements or if or statements? You know, it's explored in the game Overwatch what consciousness is, because in that game there are robots called Omnics, and these Omnics robots are fighting for robot rights. And society or technology has advanced so far that robots have started thinking for themselves. So it could be. It comes back to that idea. I think, therefore I am. It's interesting. It's an interesting concept for sure. Consciousness needs a vessel to interpret physical concepts. Oh, and that's a good point. That's a very good point that I would consider. It needs a vessel to interpret physical concepts. Interesting. Interesting. Well, then that begs the question, what is consciousness then? But anyways, we need to finish up this section, man. I need to go take a shower. Okay. After that, Zarathustra walked 2 more hours and trusted to the road and to the light of the stars, for he was used to walking abroad at night and liked to look into the face of all that slept. But when morning dawned, Zarathustra found himself in the thick forest, and the road disappeared. Then he laid the dead man in a hollow tree at his head, for he wanted to protect him from the wolves, and laid himself down on the mossy ground. And straightway he fell asleep, weary in body, but with a soul at rest. Section 9. Zarathustra slept long, and not only the dawn, but the morning too passed over his head. But at length he opened his eyes. In surprise, Zarathustra gazed into the forest and the stillness. In surprise, he gazed into himself. Then he arose. Then he arose quickly, like a seafarer who suddenly sees land, and rejoiced, for he had beheld a new truth. And then he spoke to his heart, thus: "A light has dawned for me. I need companions, living ones, not dead companions and corpses which I carry with me wherever I wish. But I need living companions, who follow me because they want to follow themselves, and who want to go where I want to go." That's a bit of a hard criteria for companionship, at least in my eyes. And that's just my note right there, that's not in the book. "A light has dawned for me. Zarathustra shall not speak to the people, but to companions." I see where he's going. Zarathustra shall not be herds. Zarathustra shall not be herdsman and dog to the herd. Okay. "To lure many away from the herd, that is why I have come. The people and the herd shall be angry with me. The herdsmen shall call me Zarathustra the robber, or a robber. I say herdsmen, but they call themselves the good and the just. I say herdsmen, but they call themselves the faithful of the true faith. Behold the good and the just. Behold the good and the just. Whom do they hate most? Him who smashes their tables of values, the breaker, the lawbreaker, but he is the creator. All right, and then here's note number 4. Let's check out what note number 4 says. Note 4. So I think these are all just lost translations. Brecher equals breaker. Verbrecher normally means criminal. Lawbreaker retains the verbal repetition. Okay. That's fair enough. Brecher is breaker. Interesting. They managed to keep that one in translation. I'm proud of them for that one. Behold the good and the just. Whom do they hate most? Him who smashes their tables of values, the breaker, the lawbreaker, but he is the creator. Behold the faithful of all faiths. Whom do they hate the most? Him who smashes their tables of values, the breaker, the lawbreaker, but he is the creator. So he just repeated himself there. Oh, well, he's speaking to the good and the just and the faithful of all faiths. The creator seeks companions, not corpses or herds or believers. The creator seeks fellow creators, those who inscribe new values on new tables. The creator seeks companions and fellow harvesters, for with him everything is ripe for harvesting. But he lacks his 100 sickles, so he tears off the ears of corn and is vexed. The creator seeks companions and such as know how to whet their sickles. But whet is spelled W-H-E-T. I don't know what that means. They will be called destroyers and despisers of good and evil, but they are harvesters and rejoicers. Zarathustra seeks fellow creators, fellow harvesters, and fellow rejoicers. What has he to do with the herds and herdsmen and corpses? And you, my first companion, fare you well. I have buried you well in your hollow tree. I have hidden you well from the wolves. But I am leaving you. The time has come. Between dawn and dawn, a new truth has come to me. I will not be herdsman or gravedigger. I will not speak again to the people. I have spoken to a dead man for the last time. I will make company with the creators, with harvesters, with rejoicers. I will show them the rainbow and the stairway to the Superman. I shall sing my song to the lone hermit and to the hermits in pairs, and I will make the heart of him who still has ears for unheard of things heavy with my happiness. I make for my goal. I go my way. I shall leap over the hesitating and the indolent. Indolent. Let's see what indolent means. Indolent, wanting to avoid activity or exertion, the lazy. I shall leap over the hesitating and the indolent. Thus may my going forward be their going down. God damn. So homie's basically saying here, I'ma just focus on me and my homies, me and my crowd. And fuck the rest of y'all. Essentially. Section 10. Zarathustra said this to his heart as the sun stood at noon. Then he looked inquiringly into the sky, for he heard above him the sharp cry of a bird. And behold, an eagle was sweeping through the air in wide circles, and from it was hanging a serpent, not like a prey, but like a friend, for it was coiled around the eagle's neck. It's my animals, says Zarathustra, and rejoiced in his heart. The proudest animal under the sun, and the wisest animal under the sun. They have come scouting. It seems like Zarathustra is losing a little bit. They wanted to learn if Zarathustra was still alive. Am I, in fact, alive? I found it more dangerous among men than among animals. Zarathustra is following dangerous paths. May my animals lead me. Interesting. Okay, so I was calling him crazy, but it seems like he seems to be more comfortable around animals than he does humans. But it's still a little bit weird, but not weird in a weird way, but in like an eccentric kind of neurotic way. When Zarathustra had said this, he recalled the words of the saint in the forest, sighed, and spoke thus to his heart. I wish I were wise. I wish I were wise from the heart of me, like my serpent. But I am asking for the impossible. Therefore I ask my pride always to go along with my wisdom. And if one day my wisdom should desert me, it loves to fly away, then may my pride too fly with my folly. And thus began Zarathustra's downgoing. Damn, that's a crazy fucking... That is crazy. That's a crazy chapter. So essentially, Zarathustra came to tell the men about the Superman and the process to become the Superman. But in that process, he unintentionally started his own process of, as it says, downgoing. And, you know, he's taking the path to become the Superman. So it seems. Anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and end the stream here. That was basically the first chapter. And I'll probably pick up tomorrow. Or actually, I'm going to be gone for about a week or two. So I'll pick it up when I pick it up next. Jib, thank you so much for watching, man. Anybody else that's dropped by, thank you so much for dropping by. I appreciate it all. I'll catch y'all later.